Do you see this? It's hard to watch, but those are protesters in Berkeley, California, beating up Trump supporters, turning incredibly violent there in Berkeley. It's really unbelievable to watch. I mean, you've got these fights breaking out there on both sides. Several people were injured. 10 arrests were actually made. But you got to, it's heartbreaking to see that. They're attacking this poor guy, hitting him in the head. Why do we have such a double standard? I mean, we saw the anti-Trump protests in D.C., right? You had demonstrators on the left going and marching totally in peace. They were not disrupted. So why do Trump supporters get attacked for just trying to march themselves? Leslie Marshall and Ned Ryan are back with me, and Ned, it's hard to watch, as I said. I mean, they're just ganging up on that guy, punching him in the head. I mean, the media likes to portray Trump supporters as these crazy rednecks with guns, but, in actuality, the crazy ones seem to be right there in Berkeley because they're attacking that poor man.
This is a continuation, though, Trish, of what they were trying to do with the Tea Party. They wanted to frame the Tea Party as being, they were even calling them domestic terrorists. There were congressmen, Democrat congressmen calling Tea Partiers domestic terrorists, when in fact the opposite was true. They were peaceful. They were even cleaning up after themselves. I was at these rallies. I was speaking at Tea Party rallies. It was peaceful assembly, peaceful rally, and then they went and turned it into real political change. And here you have the resistance. And I want to be very clear that I make it very clear there's certain aspects of the left that think that violence, that attacking people, violence on individuals and destruction of personal property is a way to advance their cultural and social and political desires. And this, to me, is extremely un-American. If you look at our traditions and how we have peaceful assembly, the Tea Party and even these Trump supporters actually have more in common with Martin Luther King Jr. than the left does. And if you look at world history and you understand who wanted to use personal violence and destruction of personal property to advance their social and political goals, it's troubling.
Yeah, I hear you. And when you talk about that destruction of property, I mean, we saw that in the riots in Ferguson, a great example there of how people took to the streets in a way that was not productive. And I'm sugarcoating this by using that language, but not productive in any way for society. Leslie, the left keeps painting Trump supporters as the wild ones, but you look at stuff like that, and it's clearly not the case. Can you defend it in any way? Do you defend it in any way?
Well, most liberals are pacifists like myself, and I don't defend or condone any violence, and the First Amendment doesn't cover that. As you rightly pointed out, Trish, there was violence on both sides. We saw this in videos. We saw Trump supporters with pepper spray or with shields. We saw
they got to protect themselves. They got to protect themselves. Leslie, I mean, if you're that guy getting beaten in the head, are you just supposed to sit there and take it?
Well, not everybody was defending themselves. There is a video of a pepper spray taking place by a Trump supporter to a Trump protester. But either way, this is not what our founding fathers had in mind when they talked about freedom of speech and freedom to protest.
Well, I agree with you, and I'm glad we can all be on the same page on that one. However, what?
However, we do have two instances of shootings, one of a Sikh man and another of two Indian men who died, where individuals who claimed to be Trump supporters walked in and said, get out of my country, and shot these individuals. And I think that's where some on the left feel that Trump supporters are violent.
And that's part of the narrative that you keep hearing over and over again and projected by a leftist media, that they want people to think that Trump supporters are somehow these crazy white supremacists that don't want to allow a freedom of thought. But in actuality, the ones that are not allowing the freedom of thought, and we see this over and over again, specifically on college campuses, Ned Ryan, happens to be those on the left. Go ahead.
No, exactly. And I think it's somewhat staggering, the silence from Democrats in disavowing this. There is nothing to defend here. And of course, you would hear me disavowing, and I continue to disavow anything on the right, including the alt-right, and saying we have nothing to do with this. We want nothing to do with anything that even comes close to personal violence or white supremacy or any of those things. But you're right. It's interesting to me, Trish, that people that claim they want to have freedom of thought and freedom of expression, all of these things, they suddenly have a different view of life when all of a sudden they're confronted with these opposing ideas. And again, there's nothing to defend here. It should be disavowed. It is un-American. And we need to understand, at the end of the day, Trish, this is the thing that I'm growing more and more concerned about. We're all Americans.
Indeed.
Each one of us, right, left,
Yeah.
we're Americans.
Listen,
we actually
I
have
hear
a
you.
lot in common.
Yeah,
Why can't we can find
hear
common
you.
ground?
Yes, and we should be able to on economic issues and on security
Exactly.
issues. Leslie, Ned, it's good to see both you guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Trish.